It's Thursday, the 18th of August. My name's Juan Brown. You're watching the Blanco Lirio channel, and today we're going to do a fire update on the fire situation here in Northern California using the trip that I flew yesterday from London to Los Angeles. Will explain a lot about yesterday's fire behavior and our current situation here in Northern California, as our route of flight took us right over some of the most active fires in Northern California. So yesterday's flight out of London, about 10 and a half hours, typical Great Circle route, departed London about 5 in the afternoon, landed in LA about 8 p.m. local time. Took us just south of Iceland, right up over the south end of Greenland, the Northwest Passages, Hudson Bay, and this flight plan had us coming all the way over to Spokane, Washington, before descending straight down south to Los Angeles to take advantage of the winds. And it was already right about here in the Northwest Passages that we began to start picking up smoke from the wildfires in the west. Not only smoke from the wildfires here in California, Oregon, Washington, Idaho, but also the wildfires in Canada, with the winds pushing that smoke all the way up into the Hudson Bay area and even up here towards the Northwest Passages. Here's what it looked like. And here's what the smoke looked like thousands of miles away from these wildfires, way up in the Northwest Passages of Canada. These red dots here in the states represent TFRs, or temporary flight restriction areas, due to wildfires. Of course, there's plenty more up here in Canada. It's just not shown here on the Sky Vector map. What's a Great Circle route? It's the shortest route between 2 points on a globe. So if you look at England over here to Spokane over here, it's going to take you right up over Greenland and the Hudson Bay. And now for the winds, I'll show you what that situation looked like yesterday and today. Here's what the jet stream looks like at 36,000 feet over the states in Canada. You got a strong jet stream running just right above the Canadian border there, well over 100 knots. And so we wanted a route that took us well above that jet stream to avoid those headwinds, and then drop down into the Spokane area and take advantage of these tailwinds. We picked up a good 80 knot or so tailwind, and we're getting ground speeds over 560 knots shooting us down from Washington back down towards Los Angeles, which gave us a good view of these wildfires here in Northern California. Now, as we unwind the altitudes here, we can see the cause of the current flow of the smoke. We've got a low pressure area over the Idaho area here, and that, of course, the winds move counterclockwise around a low pressure, and that's what's producing the north flow. Here we are down here to 9,000 feet, 6,000 feet, and that's what's pushing this smoke now down from the north. And this is what can create extremely hazardous wind conditions going forward into the fall here in Northern California. As these storms get stronger and stronger up over the Idaho area and this pressure gradient increases, these surface winds from the north can get very strong. And that's exactly what happened in the Paradise Fire, back in 2018. And here's a picture of that low pressure area. It's moved off a little bit into Wyoming as of today on the surface prog chart. Entering this jet stream here at the Canadian Rockies also produced quite a bit of turbulence, so we had to slow the aircraft down from 0.83 Mach to 0.82 Mach, your best turbulence penetration speed, and it was pretty bumpy until we got across this jet stream further down into Oregon. You also, of course, have the choice of changing altitudes, but the reports were the turbulence was just as bad all the way from about 24,000 feet up to 40,000 feet. So you want to pick an altitude that gives you the best fuel economy, generally the highest altitude that you can safely achieve. So because of this north flow, the Canadian Rockies were actually pretty clear and got some great shots of those beautiful mountains. But as we approached further south towards California, quite a bit of monsoon flow up in the Idaho area as well. But as we got closer to Northern California, the smoke began to increase. These are some of the smaller fires up in the Washington, Oregon area. Monsoon flow, Alvord Desert, dry lake bed, and then into Northern California. And here in the distance, we can begin to see the now two heads of the Dixie Fire sticking up out of the solid layer of smoke that's just covering Northern California. Looking at the Zoom Earth view from yesterday, you can see that smoke pushing all the way up and out through the Hudson Bay and Northwest Passages areas. But with that north flow, we had some clearing in the Pacific Northwest. But by the time you get into California, all the heads of the Dixie Fire and the Caldor Fire just filling the valley up with smoke. So I posted this short video yesterday. As we approach this is the Caldor Fire. It's broken up like the Dixie Fire. It's split into two different heads at this point. Actually, nearly three different heads on the Caldor Fire, as there has been spotting off to the east. We'll show you here in a minute. This spot right here just blanketing the entire rest of the valley. So now we'll go to the INSEE web page and start with the Dixie Fire up to a whopping 678,000 acres. And what this fire is divided into two basic halves. The eastern half is a U.S. Forest Service fire. The western half is a Cal Fire. Resources are getting stretched thin. Now with the addition of the Caldor Fire, some resources have had to been stripped from the Dixie Fire to go help out with the Caldor Fire. We're just at our rope's end as far as resources go. So on the Forest Service side of the Dixie Fire here, we had a large spot all the way across Antelope Reservoir located right here and right onto the edge of the escarpment just below the town of Janesville. With the north flow, this spot fire took off moving down the escarpment and is backing into this old fire scar burn area known as the Walker Fire. This red spot over here is the Beckworth Complex, which we reported on earlier, finished up at about 105,000 acres and is 98% contained. This fire is effectively out. A word on containment. The containment numbers for the Dixie Fire constantly change back and forth, currently at 35%, because as they gain containment down here towards the heel and the left and right flanks, they lose containment as the fire continues to grow out the head of the fire. So those numbers constantly change. What is containment? Containment is a line dug down to bare earth that firefighters are confident the fire will not breach. And that line can be as wide as several dozer lines wide or a little tiny single track trail, just depending on the fire conditions in that location. A retardant line does not make a containment line. An aerial retardant line is only there to retard or slow down the fire until firefighters can make a proper containment line around the fire. Also stretching our resources is the McFarland Fire, the Monument Fire, and the River Complex and to the west of the Sacramento Valley, Red Bluff, Redding area. Now moving further on south, a fire that's getting a lot of attention, the Caldor Fire, first reported on here yesterday. this fire has caused a lot of evacuations. Thousands of people have been evacuated. Evacuation centers are quite full. It's up to 65,475 acres. This area just to the west of this fire is quite highly populated. Fortunately, even despite this north flow, this fire has moved generally off to the east and has spotted, here's those spots that we were seeing from the aircraft above, has spotted to the east up over the Mormon Immigrant Trail. And it appears to me at this time that this fire is kind of zigzagging up the mountains between Highway 88 and Highway 50. So smoky conditions prevented a lot of air tankers from flying. This is a FlightAware in real time now. According to a lot of you that were reporting in the comment section yesterday, there was a good aerial attack on the Caldor fire yesterday, despite all the smoke. Right now today, it looks like there's nothing going on at the moment over the Caldor fire, but it does look like I just saw a MAFS tanker fly over the headquarters. Looks like MAFS 1 is headed on up towards the Dixie fire, and tanker 9-4. Oh, yeah, look at that. They're working the escarpment here off of Janesville. They probably got some good clean air they can work with. Try to stop this escarpment fire from burning further south down along this ridge here. Let me show you what that escarpment looks like. Here on the Google Maps, we come down here, drop down onto Highway 395. If we can get the little guy to stand still. There we go. That's the desert looking off to the east. That's where this fire is heading to eventually, like the Beckworth complex, probably just end up in the desert. But here's the escarpment. Behind this escarpment is all that beautiful forest land of the Plumas National Forest that we're losing as a result of this Dixie fire. And it's come down to the edge of this escarpment and is working its way south to our left. One more fire we need to talk about, a very small fire but very devastating fire, is the Cache Fire here near Clear Lake, California. This area burns regularly, as does much of Northern California. The million-acre August complex was all up here in the Mendocino National Forest just last year. But right here, the Cache Fire got going somewhere up in this area here, probably through some additional nefarious activities, human-caused, and with the north wind, blew right into this trailer park right here and took out nearly all of these trailers. All of these folks are now currently homeless. Even though this fire was only 80 acres, it took out nearly 50 mobile homes right down here into the smoke, underneath this smoke area right here. It looks like there was not a lot of homes here where the fire started, kind of an empty development, but the trailer park that was impacted is located down here in the smoke area. So that's your 37,000-foot view of the current fire situation here in Northern California for Thursday, the 19th of August. I've got a lot of aviation updates to do, including NTSB preliminary reports on some of the stories that we've been covering. I'm going to get to those real quick this week. Check your notification settings on all your devices if you want to remain updated on these updates. I get a lot of questions from folks about stories that I've already covered on this channel, which indicates to me that your notifications are not quite set up correctly. And thanks once again for the folks on Patreon that make this content possible. YouTube so far has demonetized 4 of these videos on California wildfires so far this month. Thanks so much for your support. See you here.